if you have a Mercor domain interview coming up, the hardest part may not be knowing your field. The harder part is explaining what you know in a clear, simple, and organized way.
Right. A lot of people have real experience, but when the interview starts, they're not sure how much detail to give, how formal to sound, or how to prove that they actually know the topic.
Exactly. So in this episode, we are going to talk about how to answer Mercor domain interview questions in a way that sounds natural, confident, and easy to understand.
Because, this whole process is fundamentally evaluating something a bit deeper than just recalling facts, right?
Oh, totally. It's definitely not a trivia test.
Yeah. It's really an evaluation of how well you can take complex knowledge, reason through it logically, and, well, explain it to someone else.
Right, because think about the role itself. You're usually expected to provide really clear, structured data or explanations that help train complex systems.
Exactly.
And if your communication is just scattered, all your expertise gets completely lost.
Yeah, you're basically being evaluated on how clear you are, just as much as your technical skills.
Yeah.
But before we even get into structuring your answers, we really should talk about the environment, like your technical setup.
Oh, right, like checking your microphone and camera and all that.
Yeah. I know it sounds super basic, but it actually plays a massive role in how you come across.
I can see that. I mean, if someone's mic is terrible, it's just exhausting to listen to them.
That's exactly it. It's about reducing friction for the listener. If your room is incredibly dark or your microphone has this awful echo, the person listening has to spend all this extra mental energy just figuring out what you're saying.
Right, and they might kind of subconsciously think you're less prepared just because they have to work so hard to hear you.
Exactly. So practically speaking, you should always jump into the virtual waiting room beforehand and just check everything. Good lighting, quiet space, stable internet.
Makes sense.
And here is a really useful tip for the interview itself. Look directly at the camera lens, not down at your screen.
Oh, that's a good one. It makes it feel more like a real professional conversation.
Yeah, it grounds you. It forces you to speak in a natural rhythm instead of just staring off into space or, reading off a second monitor.
Treat the camera like it's a real person sitting across from you. I like that. So, okay, let's say the tech is flawless. Everything looks and sounds great.
Right.
The interview starts. How does the system even know what to ask you? Because I understand these interviews are highly adaptive, right?
Yeah, they are totally adaptive. And the best part is you actually hold the blueprint for the entire interview.
Meaning your resume.
Exactly, meaning your resume. The questions are completely customized based on the specific skills, the tools, and the project that you actively decided to list on your resume.
It's just looking at what you claimed you can do and asking you to prove it.
Right. It's not some random list of generic questions.
I actually like to think of your resume as a restaurant menu.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like you're handing this menu to the interviewer. And the golden rule is, do not put a dish on the menu if you don't know how to cook it. Because someone is going to order it.
That is a brilliant analogy. If you can't cook it, take it off the menu.
But, let's be real. There's always that temptation to make your resume look a little more impressive.
Oh, for sure. People do it all the time.
Like, say I used some specific data visualization tool 5 years ago. I barely remember it now. Do I leave it on there just to look good, or should I take it off?
You take it off 100%.
Probably just cut it.
Absolutely. Because if you put this fancy, complex dish on your menu, but you don't actually know the ingredients or how long to bake it, you're going to panic when the order comes in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Honesty really is the best preparation strategy here. You need to look at every single line on your resume. If you list a software tool, you have to be ready to explain how you used it, the challenges you faced, and the outcome.
So if you can't confidently talk about a bullet point for, say, a solid minute, just delete it.
Yes. It takes discipline to intentionally shorten your resume, but it keeps you safe.
Right. You'll never be completely caught off guard if you only list what you actually know. Okay, so the menu is accurate. The questions start coming. How do we actually build a good answer?
Well, you want to develop a flexible habit for your responses. Not a rigid script, but a habit.
Okay, a habit. What does that look like for, say, a background or domain knowledge question?
It generally follows a really logical 4-step progression. The very first step is to just answer the question directly right out of the gate.
Okay, so no long rambling introductions, just get right to it.
Exactly. Don't build up to it, just answer it. Then for the second step, briefly give the context or explain your reasoning.
Got it. Direct answer, then context. What's next?
Third, you share a short real-world example of an action you took.
A specific example.
Yeah. And then finally, the fourth step, you finish with the result, the impact, or a clear lesson you learned.
That sounds really clean. Direct answer, context, action, result.
Exactly. But there's a major rule within this structure that trips up a lot of people, especially if they come from a corporate background.
Oh, what's the rule?
It's the rule of using the word I instead of we.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a big one. People are so used to saying we.
Right, because we are heavily conditioned to be team players. We're taught that saying I did this sounds arrogant. So we say, we optimized the server,
Right.
or our team built this tool.
But in this interview, they aren't evaluating your team. They're evaluating you.
Precisely. The interview is entirely about your specific contributions. It's so vital to claim ownership of the work.
I can see how that feels uncomfortable for some people. But from the interviewer's perspective, if you say, we built a massive database, that tells them nothing about what you actually did.
Right. Did you design the back end, or did you just order lunch for the engineers?
Exactly. You have to say, I designed the relational schema. You have to own it.
It's not arrogance, it's accountability. And honestly, along with ownership, you need to be extremely specific.
What do you mean by specific?
Well, vague answers are a huge trap. If you follow the 4 steps and your result is just, I made the process better, you haven't really proven anything.
Right. Better is so subjective.
Yeah. You need to anchor your claims. Name a specific tool, give a time frame, or use a real number.
So instead of I made it better, you'd say something like, I improved efficiency by 40%.
Exactly. That is so much stronger.
Okay, so we have this great 4-step habit. But how long should these answers be? Because some people give one-word answers and others talk for 10 minutes straight.
The sweet spot is generally between 30 and 90 seconds.
Wow, 30 to 90 seconds. That feels really short. If I'm explaining a complicated project, won't I leave out important details?
It feels short when you're just chatting, but 90 seconds of focused, uninterrupted speaking is actually a long time.
I guess that's true.
The reason people want to talk for 5 minutes is just nerves. They think throwing a mountain of words at the problem proves they're smart.
But it just makes them sound disorganized.
Exactly. Rambling buries your skills. Keeping it to that 30 to 90 second window forces you to stay focused.
It really reminds me of giving someone driving directions.
Oh, how so?
Well, if someone asks how to get to the grocery store, you just give them the straightforward steps.
Yeah.
You say, go straight for 2 miles, turn left at the light, and it's on your right.
Right. You don't give them the history of the roads.
Exactly. You don't start talking about how beautiful the trees look on that street. You just give them the most efficient path.
That is the perfect way to look at it. You're giving clear driving directions to your skills.
Okay, so that covers questions about our background and our resume. But what about when they ask things you haven't actually done, like scenario questions?
Ah, right. Judgment and scenario questions.
Yeah.
These are questions where they ask you to evaluate an outcome or maybe fix a problem you haven't seen before.
Those can be tricky. What's the goal there?
The goal is really to show your structured thinking. They want to see how you reason through a problem.
So is there a habit for these kinds of questions too?
Definitely. Very often, these scenarios involve a trade-off.
Like choosing between speed and cost.
Exactly. So when you face a trade-off, the best habit is to clearly state the options out loud and then logically explain why you chose one over the other.
So you wouldn't just blurt out, I'd pick the fast one.
Right, no. You'd say something like, well, option A is faster but costs more, and option B is cheaper but slower, and then you make a logical choice based on the scenario.
That shows so much maturity. It proves you aren't just guessing, you're actually weighing the pros and cons.
Exactly.
But, okay, let me ask about the biggest fear everyone has. What if you get a scenario question and you just don't know the answer? Your mind just goes completely blank. What do you do?
First of all, don't freeze. And please, don't just try to bluff your way through it with generic buzzwords.
Oh yeah, people can see right through that.
Absolutely. It is completely normal to not have a perfect answer instantly ready. If you aren't fully sure, just shift your strategy.
Shift it how?
Instead of trying to give the final perfect answer, you just outline the practical steps you would take to figure it out. Or you ask a clarifying question.
Oh, so you narrate your investigation.
Exactly. You might say, I'm not entirely sure about the exact syntax, but the first thing I would do is check the documentation, and then I would run a test.
That shows you're resourceful, which is sometimes better than just having something memorized.
Right. But you touched on something really important there, the fear of your mind going blank.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Because when you get a complex question, you inherently need a second to gather your thoughts.
But you can't just sit there in total silence. A moment of complete silence on a video call feels like an eternity.
It really does. It breaks the whole flow of the conversation.
But you also don't want to just start talking before you know what you want to say. So how do you handle that?
This is where you use bridging phrases.
Bridging phrases.
Yeah. It's a really simple technique. Instead of just a dead moment of silence where you stop speaking entirely, you use short, natural sentences to buy your brain time to think.
Oh, that makes sense. What do those sound like?
You just say something honest, like, that is a really great question. Let me think about that for a second. Or, let me organize my thoughts on that.
That is so practical. Just saying, let me organize my thoughts buys you like 5 seconds.
Exactly. And it keeps the conversation natural while showing that you're actually being thoughtful, not just confused.
I love that. Okay, we have covered so much ground here. We talked about the resume menu, the 4-step structure, using I instead of we, managing trade-offs, and using bridging phrases.
It's a lot, but it really comes down to just clear communication.
Right. Actually, I think it would be really helpful to hear what this all sounds like in practice. Do you want to do a quick mini role play?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, I'll act as the interviewer, and I'll ask you a few realistic sample questions, and you can just answer them naturally using the habits we talked about.
Sounds great. I'm ready.
Okay, let's start with a standard background question. Question 1. Can you tell me about your experience in this domain?
Certainly. I've been working as a data analyst for the past 3 years. In my last role, my main responsibility was improving our weekly reporting process, which used to be really manual. So I used SQL to rewrite the data extraction queries, and I built an automated pipeline. As a result, I reduced the time it took to generate the reports by 50%, which saved my department about 4 hours of manual work every single week.
Okay, let's take a quick look at why that answer was so effective. First, it was super direct. You didn't start with a long story about how you fell in love with data.
Right, just straight to the point.
Second, you used the I rule perfectly. You said, I use SQL and I reduced the time. You owned it.
Yeah, that's crucial.
And finally, you used specific numbers. 50% reduction, 4 hours saved. It was a really strong answer, and it took, what, maybe 30 seconds?
Yeah, keep it focused.
Okay, question 2. This one tests clarity and simplicity. How would you explain this topic to someone who is new to the field? And let's say the topic is organizing a database.
Oh, okay. If I were explaining database organization to someone completely new, I'd describe it like organizing a massive filing cabinet. The database itself is the steel cabinet. Inside, you have different drawers, which act like tables. They hold specific categories, like a drawer just for customer names. And the individual folders inside those drawers are the rows, representing one specific record. So my job is to make sure every paper goes into the exact right folder, so anyone can find a customer's history instantly without searching the whole cabinet.
That was excellent. What I love about that is the complete lack of complex jargon. You didn't mention foreign keys or indexing.
Right, because that just confuses people who are new to it.
Exactly. You use simple words and a universally understood analogy. Avoiding those big complicated words actually proves that you really understand the subject.
Yeah, and practically speaking, keeping your vocabulary simple stops you from getting tangled in your own sentences if you get nervous.
That is such a good point. Okay, one final question for the role play. Let's do a judgment and scenario question.
Bring it on.
If you see 2 answers provided by a system and both are partly correct, how would you decide which one is better?
That is an interesting scenario. Let me organize my thoughts on that for a second. First, I would evaluate the strict factual accuracy of the core logic in both answers. I need to establish which one has fewer critical errors. Second, assuming they are tied on accuracy, I would look at clarity. If answer A is highly detailed but really hard to read, and answer B is slightly less detailed but very readable, I have to make a trade-off. Generally, if the end user needs quick comprehension, I would choose answer B because clarity is so valuable. So my decision would be based on verifying accuracy first, and then weighing the trade-off of readability versus extreme depth.
And scene.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Let me just point out what you did there. Right at the beginning, you used a bridging phrase. You said, let me organize my thoughts for a second.
Yeah, I needed a moment to figure out how to structure it.
It felt completely natural. And then you used clear steps. You literally said, first, I would evaluate, and second, I would look at. That step-by-step logic makes it incredibly easy to follow.
Well, you're basically handing the listener a map of your thought process. It stops them from getting lost, and it stops me from talking in circles.
Exactly. It makes your reasoning undeniable. Even if someone disagrees with your final choice, they can see exactly how you got there.
Right, you're just showing your work.
Which is exactly what this whole interview process is about. So, as we wrap up today, I just want to leave you with one short, supportive thought.
Yeah.
Preparing for this kind of interview can feel daunting. But you really do not need to have a flawless, perfect answer for every single question.
Absolutely not.
You just need to be clear, be honest about your experience, stay organized, and be able to explain your thinking. If you can do that, you are going to do great.
Totally agree. Just trust your experience.
If you want more practice questions and simple sample answers for AI training interviews, you can check the workbook linked in the description.